tried it all. The meal plans, the calorie counting, the latest trendy diets, and yet here you are, still stuck, frustrated, and disconnected from your body. So what now? Welcome to another episode of Happily Ever After What Now, where we really dig into the what next when life doesn't go as planned. Today we're tackling a topic that so many of us grapple with: dieting. Let's dive in. We all grew up watching fairy tales featuring Prince Charming, but not everyone gets the happy ever after they had in their dreams. So what are you supposed to do when your fairy tale ends? When everything you thought you knew falls apart? Welcome to Happily Ever After What Now? I'm Kiri Honey, a confident communication coach for women, sharing my own experience after infidelity to help women learn to forgive and find their way forward to a life and relationship they love. Our guest today is Lauren Leitner, a certified health and wellness coach and culinary nutrition expert who knows firsthand what it's like to battle chronic dieting and food guilt. After years of feeling trapped by restrictive eating and struggling with her own health, Lauren found freedom through plant-based nutrition, mindfulness, and movement. Now she's on a mission to help career-driven women over 40 break free from the diet cycle and build a joyful, sustainable relationship with food. Lauren is here to share the truth about why your diet isn't working and why getting to your goal weight doesn't magically fix everything. We'll explore why focusing so much on the outcome can make you lose touch with what's actually working, and how small, sustainable changes can transform your health from the inside out. If you're tired of feeling stuck and ready to find true freedom around food, then stick around because this episode just might change your perspective for good. Welcome, Lauren.
I'm so happy to be here. I just got chills just thinking about all of that because yeah, it's I'm here for it, but I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Now, before we get into the how we change our relationship with food, can you first tell us a little bit about what brought you to this place that you're at today? What was your journey, and why are you focusing on the 40 plus?
Oh my God. Okay, so I will try to minimize my long story, but just I did not have a great relationship with food because I was fat shamed as a young child to adolescence. I was put on every diet. If anyone remembers Fen, if you are in the over 40 group, then you probably know. I've done it all. So I was never made to feel like I was beautiful as I was. And so I just saw food as something destructive. You know, I've been different weights and all sorts of things along the way. But I've also really been into fitness and I was always moving and dancing and all sorts of things throughout my life until I was almost 40. I had wound up owning a fitness business, and to me, it was just about being strong, feeling good. And I wound up getting sick. And so it became more about health. And I noticed that the over 40 was about longevity more so than, looking a certain way. And I wasn't happy because I was just destroying myself and wanting to be something for somebody else or looking like something because of everything we see out there. And so I just kind of like disconnected from like, I'm a human. I want to feel good and then see what happens. And so even when I hired a trainer and my body was changing. I was on this calorie deficit for so long, and that's not okay. So I wound up really having a different relationship to food and my body, and I realized like it was even more destructive in a different way. So I would say it was um not an eating disorder, but it was disordered eating. It was like I wanted to eat perfectly healthy and do everything right. And the second I didn't, it just like all hell broke loose.
Mm.
Um, and it took a while. So I later got rid of that trainer. And as I found others, because I started building strength and I enjoyed doing strength training. And as you get older, our bodies are changing. So I kind of wanted to celebrate that. And then I just was like, okay, all these people, they have no empathy, they don't care about me. So I need to take it upon myself. So I really started to slow down, see what really felt good, because they were putting me on these diets with so much protein because athletes eat a lot of protein. But I was so gassy and like farting my way through the night. And so I was like, this isn't sexy. This can't be good. But until I discovered, you know what, I'm going to lay off a little bit of the protein. And all of a sudden, my stomach issues were gone. So people are telling us what to do when we have to be in charge of figuring out what to do. And that's what I started to do. You know, yeah, my body changed a little bit, but I was like, I was so much more happy because now I have a freedom around food. Like even right before this, I had air pop popcorn that was to me is a treat and I celebrated it. It's fun. So it wasn't like I can't have anything. I can have whatever I want. And it is such a difference and I sleep better. And, you know, so anyway, the results of being joyful in life to me was everything. And then my clients, you know, they all come to you for weight loss. But when I really started asking them the questions about how they're feeling and specific things, I realized like they're doing all these diets and nobody's understanding. We aren't sustaining diets because they're not meant for us. And so I'm like, okay, I got to do something different for them too, because I want them to have sustainable health and feel good. And and then it becomes a domino effect of other pieces of our lives. Like things start to happen. And so anyway, that's a short story but it's been a big deal, big difference for me and my clients.
Okay, I have a lot of questions.
I threw
So,
a lot at you.
so, well, one of the biggest things about the health and nutrition industry, or the thing I find most challenging, is there's so much conflicting information. And so, like, even if you don't want to diet as such,
Mhm.
and I speak from personal, it's like, sure, I would love to lose some weight. It feels like no matter what I do, it doesn't happen. It just increases. But you're like, well, this says I should eat more protein, and this says this, and it's like I would love to be at the point like trusting your own body, and
Mhm.
so how do we get there? How do we filter
Yes.
through all the bullshit?
Yeah, it is bullshit. I'm glad you said it. Listen, it's exhausting,
Mm.
but realize that all these people are selling something, and every diet works if you do it. But the question really is, why aren't we sticking with it? And it's because you are not building that trust of what you know for yourself.
Mm.
If we're always following, like I said, the protein, right?
Mm.
I've heard that by many trainers I've hired. And every time I dabble in it, I feel sick.
Mm.
So is it worth it? You know, it's the questions we have to ask.
Mm.
There's a sense of curiosity in learning about what works for me. Was there a specific diet that you've done, may I ask?
Not really. I kind of half-assed
Okay,
all of those.
okay. So that's fair. But if there was something, we all kind of know what worked. And then it becomes like, okay, diets are just, they're mean,
Mm,
right? It's not a loving relationship because I'm just checking boxes off, but I don't know if I know certain foods work for me and they make me feel good. And that's the piece that we're not tapping into.
mm,
It's like we don't care how we feel. I just want to look a certain way. I just want to get into my jeans again. I just want, I understand that. But none of these diets teach you about health and how you're feeling. There are other things besides the way our genes fit that are happening, and that's energy through the day, our digestion. I can go on and on. We could do a separate podcast for just poop alone, okay? And I can get all my clients to poop, and we should be pooping every day. And I can't tell you how many clients that have come to me like, oh, and now they celebrate it. They're like, oh, I poop every day, as you should. So, but sleeping, right? Productivity, relationships with your loved ones, your friends, connection. There's so many pieces to it. Diet is just like the smallest thing in our lives. And so it's it's patience. And it is a lot of experimentation that people may not have the patience for. But it's also, the question is, am I worth it? Am I worth taking time to discover what works for me?
And
Not
the
what
answer,
her.
if you're wondering, is yes, yes, you should.
Yes, yes. The answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah.
And if we haven't given ourselves that time to be okay with that, then maybe we need to have a conversation of why. And also it is the why that is the starting point to making the change. Anyway, again, long-winded, it's just so complicated, and so it's hard to not be a branch on a
Yeah.
tree to
No.
answer the question. But does that kind of make sense of the trust piece comes with time?
Yeah, and I mean, we hear it all the time now, right? With the whys and focusing on the why. And it might sound like it's just a thing, but it is so very important. And yes, I would love to be able to fit in my jeans again. But
Sure.
actually, you're right. I love food. I want to enjoy food. I think the reason that I've half-assed diets so much is because I hate this having to go without piece, right? I want to be able to have a glass of wine when I want a glass of, like, it doesn't feel like living when you're constantly going without.
Okay. So now you're tapping into the biggest piece of it, right? And when you hear yourself say it, it's sad.
Mm,
Restriction makes all that food louder.
mm, mm,
So the moment you say you can't have something, you want it more.
mm,
And that comes into, I'm labeling things as good and bad. And that's something I work on a lot with clients. And it takes a lot of time because we're constantly trying to reframe our language. Because all the things you just said, you want to enjoy yourself. So pick what's more important to you. If you really want to get into your jeans and you're willing to do whatever it takes, then yeah, you might have to do some restriction. So that can suck, but it's also could be really temporary.
Mm.
So that can be okay too. But if you're at a moment, and this is like the 40 plus, right? If you're in a moment and you're like, I've already done all this shit before, I just want to like feel good and live my life.
Mm.
Then if we start restricting with food, we're going to start restricting other things, social connection. That is a huge pillar that I had to learn through living alone, working remotely,
Mm.
all the things that I didn't even realize were extremely important to my well-being. That you take all of that stuff away because now you're saying, I can't go out with you tonight. I can't have wine. But guess what? There's a way to be connected and still not drink and enjoy yourself. Or there's also a really good way to drink and do it a little differently. And that way you're being social. So that's the stuff I work on with everybody because it really has to be so realistic to your life. If you start taking away, then that's why diets fail.
Mm. We have had conversations about playfulness in the kitchen and bringing creativity and fun because that's really my jam. Um, and in the kitchen part is not really my jam, but I know it's lots of people's thing. So, what would be maybe a first step for someone listening to get into a place where they're moving away from this diet culture and having to go without and leading into the curiosity piece, the playfulness, the creativity in the kitchen part.
I think it's kind of twofold. I think the first big piece that I've already addressed is the mindset piece. So now you happen to enjoy playing in the kitchen, but most people and most of the people I work with don't. And so it's that understanding the question of, okay, but when I do play in the kitchen, here's what I get. I get to make what I like. I get to eat what I like. I feel better. I sleep better. And the list goes on and on. You understand my point there.
Hmm.
So making a decision like, I'm going to go into the kitchen and I'm going to eat what I want and make it simple. If we are following, if we're looking for recipes and we don't cook, and we're looking at recipes that are like, oh my God, I have to follow all these rules. It's the way I see a recipe when I cook is the way I see a diet. If I'm following the recipe to a T, the way somebody else wrote it for them, then I'm not making it for me.
Interesting.
So, yes. And then with cooking, it's like, it's a blank slate.
Mm.
I understand there's a science with baking. I used to have a biscotti company, so I before I did all of this, so I understand that there is a science, but when it comes to cooking, it's like, okay, this is what I have. So I'm just gonna put a little. I just did a cooking show with somebody, and while I wrote it out, I was like, you put in, taste it. What do you think you need? So it's the same thing for a recipe we have to do for our body. What feels good in my body? What feels good in my food? What do I need more of? Do I want more lemon? So that's that curiosity experimentation that we have to bring into the kitchen.
So it's like I've got lots of questions. Okay, like where do I start in terms of ingredients?
Okay, so let's start with you personally. What do you enjoy the most? Like, what comes to mind when you're thinking about this that you would want to make?
I'd like to cook more things with vegetables. I feel like
Great.
I do a lot of things with meats, but the idea of should.
Yeah, here's where I'm gonna put should. Bam. Yes, there's no shoulds. We gotta take the shoulds out. That's labeling things as good and bad.
Mm.
So, and now I'm going to ask you the question. Is eating more vegetables because you should or because what?
Because I want to. And
What happens when you eat more vegetables? Do you know?
no, I feel like I'm one of those people that has like no idea how different foods really respond to me.
Yeah, well, after this conversation, you're going to start figuring that out. It is one of the most interesting things is I will always offer is be the observer. Okay, so let's talk about vegetables and being the observer, right? Because I think that one of the things to answer your own question is being an observer. Like
Mm,
really start to pay attention. And it's like, what makes me not sleep well? What makes my skin break out or feel dull? What makes me sneeze? Like, there's all sorts of foods. So, for me, I'm plant-based, so I don't eat dairy, so I'm not going to have the same kind of or meat as other people. But yeah, being an observer is important. Getting vegetables, so thinking about that being the star player for you, right? I want to get more vegetables in. So where do I begin? Let's pick a vegetable.
okay, so I've always disliked mushrooms, but
So what? Oh,
recently I've started to enjoy them. It's like we go out to this restaurant, their mushrooms are part of the pasta, and it is delicious. So I guess something that's making me curious is okay, so maybe one I should buy mushrooms and to and I guess figure out ways to cook them that I actually enjoy.
so let's brainstorm here because I think it's important. And my first instinct when you said is what I don't like is mushrooms. So I would think, well, why would you start there? But then you change that,
Mm,
right, to something, oh, I actually did have it. And I think vegetables are interesting in that way. It's just that I haven't had it in a way
mm,
that was cooked in a way that I liked,
mm.
right? So I don't know. This is going to be the experiment that we're going to have. So, do you like portobello mushrooms?
I don't really know.
Okay, great. So that would be maybe a good place to start. There's so many different mushrooms, but I would go basic, right? Maybe not get the fancy, I'll say oyster mushrooms. If anybody, it is like a hidden gem. They're like buttery, delicious. But okay, so I'm going to get excited about it because I get excited. It is just start with something that's available,
Yeah.
right?
I love broccoli.
Okay, great. Let's go broccoli.
Yeah.
So, and there are different kinds of broccoli. Have you had it? Do you like it steamed, roasted? Like what
Yep.
would be, is that
All
both?
all the ways.
All the ways. So that would be start with what you know and start with what you like.
Mm,
I feel like the mushrooms could come later on if your whole idea is I want to just eat more vegetables, then eat what you like, then we'll experiment and play with the others after. Because then it's a good time for you to figure out, oh, do these make me feel better when I'm eating more of them?
mm.
And I always think that should be always the star player on our plates or the veggies.
Yeah.
And the reason is, and while we're trying to undiet, the nutrients, the fiber, the water you get, if you are having an issue with pooping, that would be a good sign is to have more of that on your plate than the old cliche, eat your veggies first. If we took that out of context as something like it was eat your vegetables first is a punishment. So we
Mm,
have that
yeah.
mindset.
Mm,
But like we have to reframe that. We have to be in charge of rewriting the story around it. I'm going to eat my vegetables first because it's going to fill me up. I'm going to have more energy I'm going to poop. My skin is going to look better, right?
Mm.
And then I'll have all the other stuff. The language is everything. Do you see how that
Yeah, it is.
can
It
change?
is.
So now I haven't even told you how to cook it because we have to get there first with the way we are seeing it and how we are speaking about it. We have to, we have our food be our friend. It is our friend. And so what we eat, I only want to bring people in that make me feel better about myself. So why wouldn't I do that with food?
That that is a very good way of looking at it. Yeah. Just invite in the friends and the good company and those that really
Yeah.
light you up.
Yes, and let me say that for when you do that, and I'll say for me specifically, being plant-based, it takes it's a lot of planning, which I don't hate anymore. It's a lot of thinking ahead if you're going to be social, people just kind of criticizing you, questioning you, oh, they have this, da, da, da. Like there's a lot to that decision.
Mm.
But it's also, I've been asked many times, do you miss? Do you miss? Do you miss? And the thing is, after so many times and after being so sick, I had inflammation all over my face. You wouldn't even recognize me. So I make a choice. And I think that's part of the language too. So no, I don't miss feeling like
Mm.
that's what we were talking about, right?
Mm.
Feeling like I am swollen and unrecognizable and chronic eczema and all the things that I had to deal with that brought me into a deep depression. So it's definitely, yes, it is my friend. And when I eat, you're my best bud. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that's really going to impact your relationship with weight loss and your relationship with food in general is gonna be what you tell yourself.
Yes, yeah.
And if you are in your 40s, you've probably been telling yourself some shit for quite a long time.
If you aren't telling yourself, somebody else told it to you, and
Mm.
either way, it sucks. And so we believe all of that. So we have to be able to take the power back and just keep practicing the language. It's not going to happen in a day. I'm doing this every single day.
Mm.
My clients practice it all the time, and things change. One of the things I would say I hear most often is, and we're talking about our genes, like, I want to fit into the jeans I was in when I was in my 20s. But why? And our bodies are different, right? Science backs that up. There's nothing, there's stuff that we can do, yes, but if we can't accept like where we're at, it doesn't mean we can't get there, but we have to feel good in our clothes. And that might mean, yes, getting a bigger size for now,
Mm.
because we want to go out feeling good rather than I'm just going to put on those jeans and my muffin top is coming over my jeans and I feel like shit all day. And then I feel horrible about myself. And now I'm going through this cycle again. So it's not a loving relationship at all. And it's really sad. And we have to stop thinking that our bodies are broken. It's the diets that are broken because they're not personalized for you.
For those that are listening or watching, what's the biggest question we should be asking ourselves when we go to cook a meal or eat something, or if we're thinking about how our our bodies when we're trying to stuff ourselves into jeans that don't fit? I feel like I want to like a little mantra or an affirmation or
Well,
something.
listen, I want to go back to two of the questions we did mention earlier is how do I want to feel? Because that gives me a sense of all the decisions I'm going to make for myself that day, how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to take care of myself, and am I worth it? And to me, if you want an affirmation saying, I am worth it, I am beautiful as I am.
Mm.
Like whatever comes to you. And I put affirmations on my phone, so it pops up on my phone every hour on the hour. And sometimes I don't look at it, but it is there so that I see it, and I have to practice it too. We just have to hear it enough, because if we have heard all that language from ourselves or other people for so many years, one day of saying that is not going to change.
Yeah.
You're worth it. You are your own friend. So
Mm.
take care of yourself in that way with compassion and kindness, and the things will just kind of follow. The decisions will come. We are the experts. So maybe that's your affirmation. I am the expert of my body.
Mm. And I can get playful. I can get curious. And I love what you said about, you know, starting with the vegetables that we like
Yes.
and then getting curious with different ways that you can cook that and different flavors and find the thing that you really love. And yeah,
Yes.
I'm excited to give that a go.
Yes. Cook for yourself. And if you have a family, you'd be surprised. If they don't like something, my theory is let them cook. Let them get in the kitchen and play
I
too.
I was actually going to ask that question. Okay, I do have a family of little people who like to object to every
Yes.
single food.
So get them excited about it, have them help in the kitchen.
Mm,
I have definitely had this with clients, and that once they get involved, they can't object to something they made themselves.
mm,
And what a powerful message it sends to them. And later on, what you're doing is getting them to take care of themselves
yeah.
and eating. You don't like it? What do you think? Like, ask them those questions. What do you think if you wanted to like it? What do you think we should put on it? Get them involved in the process and see what happens. Jessica Seinfeld has a great book. If you need to add some veggies that she sneaks in, that she created for this reason, like pureeing
Mhm.
vegetables into your meals that they'll never know. So get them to be a part of something like that. So that's an opportunity that was intended for kids and families. So yes, you shouldn't have to make the only decision. You're four different people with four different palates.
Another question that we kind of alluded to earlier that we haven't covered yet. You get to your goal weight,
Mhm.
then what?
Then what? And that's a question I'll ask anybody. And then what? Are you happy with life? Because I finally, if, and people need different things. If you had a life where you didn't have the attention you desired, right? Then it might be a momentary experience for somebody to get what other people say. But I want to invite that while it's nice when other people notice, I also find it very distracting in the process of the work you did. Like it could be really powerful to just, like I said, be an observer,
Mm,
step aside and go back to the beginning to see how did you get there?
mm,
Because what happens, what's next is we're not understanding what the journey was, what worked for you so that you can continue. What did you like about it so that you'll continue that?
mm.
What didn't feel good? And is it worth, there's that word again, is it worth continuing that? There's so many things, but like journal or experience like the actual from A to Z.
Mm.
The Z is just a result. And if we don't understand what happened and you don't appreciate the space in the gap is what we call it, right?
Yeah.
The destination is one thing, but if you're on a train ride, aren't you looking outside and seeing outside the window and the beautiful snow or trees and green? No one's just staring at the seat in front of you all the time. So we have to know that piece. And yes. So just getting to the thing, and the problem is when we just get there and you don't do that piece, we're going to go back to A, because I have no idea why I got there or how I got there, but I got there. Yay! And it's great. It's hard work, but then you also have to know you could do the hard work. But if it is hard work, you're not going to continue to do it.
No.
Yeah.
So that's where the play and the curiosity and the fun has to be at the top so that you actually enjoy the process, so that working towards your why is something that you actually want to do, right?
Well, yes, and you just tapped into the why is always the biggest thing.
Mm.
And it has to be what we call intrinsic motivation.
Mm.
So things that are really meaningful.
Mm.
And our why changes over time. And so we have to revisit it. So if I'm gonna do something for 90 days, I might have a why for 30 days, and like my whole life changed. I just experienced this about 5 months ago, but I got laid off, right? So my whole life why has changed.
Mm.
My life has changed, so I have to find meaning to get to my goal
Mm.
and still enjoy it. But also like setting up a routine for yourself. I didn't make this up, non-negotiables. That means that I'm going to do this for myself every single day. And if anyone wants that time, they'll have to adjust. So that's another thing, I work on with people is saying no, thank you. I can't right now, but I can in an hour.
Mm.
And if you notice people, you might be that too. If you find yourself saying, I'm sorry a lot or apologizing a lot, right? Then we aren't giving ourselves the power we deserve in that process. It's like I'm shrinking when I'm saying, I'm sorry. Sorry, I can't. No, not sorry. I can't right now, but I can. And if we have to do the stuff that feels good for us first, that's why what you make in the kitchen, it goes back right to that. You make in the kitchen that you enjoy and let everyone add what they want to add to
Mm.
make it better for them.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
And I like to talk about the only thing you can control is yourself, right? So it's the same kind of thing. Nobody else is impacted by whether or not you fit into your jeans, anything like that. So you have to think of yourself first and what makes, if you're eating things that make you feel like shit, that attitude ripples out to everyone else,
That's right.
right?
So it's just a behavior, it's just a choice, and it's things that we're used to, and that's called emotional eating.
Hmm.
And that comes also with not planning ahead, decision fatigue. We
Mm.
all have it, we all do it. So we also have to like be forgiving to ourselves
Mm.
for when it does, and that we're not striving to be perfect. Because I could tell you from experience that really feels pretty shitty.
Mm.
And I think also what I want to just say about the jeans, because it is a thing for us. When we can't fit into our clothes, I think it would be nice to, and I'm just kind of thinking about this on the spot, is, you know, grieving the loss,
Mm.
what once was, right? Having a moment with that, crying, whatever you need to, write a love letter to your jeans and just say, hey, you served me well 20 years ago, but right now, I think I'm going to break up with you. A new pair of jeans that you feel good in. And it doesn't mean that you won't come back to it, but the stress,
Mm.
ooh, again, other podcasts, stress is so much, it causes inflammation in our bodies.
Mm.
So the more we're thinking about, and I play with this every single day, and also because I have autoimmune, which is inflammation, right? So I have to think about this. I have to make a decision. Okay, that's the language I don't like to use. I get to make a decision. Sleep at night, I'm constantly checking in with myself.
Yeah.
I get to make a decision for how I want to feel, and keeping my inflammation low in my body is important for me
Mm.
because I've been through enough with it. So I think when you kind of hit rock bottom, when you're like, I've had enough, I'm tired of feeling terrible about myself in these jeans. So I'm going to just have a memorial service for you.
Yeah.
What a
And
powerful thing.
and that's actually a really important piece too, because it's important to acknowledge how you're feeling and the disappointment, and they're all things that it's important to feel. But it's you say you have that moment and then you move on and you make a better choice, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Give yourself time to do that. And that way it's intentional.
all right, so we had a little hiccup where Lauren was completely on a roll and then she disappeared. So let's go back. We were talking about the process of grieving for your genes or the part of our lives that sure we would love to go back there, but yeah.
Yes. And you said something too, and I think it's the most important thing is acceptance. So once you grieve, I think what I was going to say was have a time limit on that. Oh, be intentional. That's what I was saying. So be intentional about the things that we're doing. So if I'm giving myself some space to cry and grieve, write a love letter or whatever you want to do, and then I'm
Mm,
moving on, and I'm going to just get a damn pair of jeans that feel good to me today. Because I think the acceptance is everything.
mm,
We have to accept where we are, but not in a way where we still can't change if we do want to, right? If we really want to change our bodies, it takes work and but work doesn't have to mean something negative. It's going to just take some time and it's going to take a plan. And we have to release the idea of a magic pill in this.
Attention, it takes focus, it takes
Yes. And, I have clients who also have done Ozempic and whatever the other one is, and they're still struggling because that goes back to, okay, what's next?
mm,
I've lost weight.
mm,
Now I'm still dealing with emotional eating.
mm,
I have a routine set up for myself because it's not teaching you that. It's teaching
yeah.
you, oh, we should only look a certain way.
Mm,
So one of the steps I tell my clients is to start to unfollow the things that aren't feeding you in a good way, in a healthy way. Start if you are scrolling, if you're a scroller and like I want to look like that, well, guess what? You aren't that. You're you. So be you. And so I'm gonna follow the people that actually make me feel good about myself. Maybe it's nothing to do with the way we look, but things that I want to feel.
yeah, because the things that we surround ourselves with, well, they do. They affect our mood, they affect the way that we view the world. And so it's
Nothing is
such,
real.
yeah,
Nothing is real. So I just want to get to this point because even when, we grew up of Cosmopolitan and Shape magazine and all the things like I want to look like that, but nothing is real then either because it's airbrushed. I mean, oh my God, there's so many documentaries and stories and interviews with models and stuff like that's not even who I am. So it's so rare. This whole fascination now with Pamela Anderson, right? Maybe she'll start a whole new movement of that wasn't even what I looked like,
mm,
but she had to be another persona in order to fit in. So aren't we doing the same thing? I'm trying to look like something else. That was one of the questions in this one training. They asked me to send a picture of the body I want to emulate and didn't think about it until I was feeling so destroyed by it. And I was like, why am I trying to look like another person's body? What message is that sending? Oh, that just gives me the chills right
yeah, me
now
too.
thinking
Yeah.
that's really like that's it
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And so if I can just say in the acceptance piece, we have to appreciate what our bodies do, how they function, be grateful. Gratitude it's no joke.
Mm,
It's real. And when you're in a real bad crisis with where we're thinking and we can go back to the things that we can do. I mean, I've trained somebody who had a massive stroke to ride a bike again and all the things that I can do with my body and they couldn't, right? It's like those kinds of things putting in perspective. But don't take away the things that are truly happening. We don't want to say, oh, everyone has it worse than us. But you know what? That still is your thing and it's been with you for so long. So yeah, it's real. So just accept that. But then we have to do the work.
Now, before we get stuck into the final bits of our conversation today, if you are ready to break up with dieting for good, I know I am, and finally have a healthy relationship with food and your body, I invite you to download Lauren's free gift. It's all about unlocking your body confidence, and it involves a 5-step plan to a diet-free life. I'll pop the link down below where you're watching this video. And let's get back into our conversation so you can learn the one tool you can use today to be more present and engaged in your life.
It's never too late to rewrite your story. It's never too late to be kinder to yourself. So the option of giving up just doesn't need to exist. It might be a moment, but then get people on board. Surround yourself with the people or work with people who will be on your side during this process because doing this alone really sucks. It's why I hire people. I might know what to do, but I also go into it as with the things that I don't know. So for my clients, they've been dieting forever, so I know what works, but go into it as an opportunity of what don't I know?
Yeah, what can I learn here? What can I do better and gain from this experience? And I think if we just approached life with more curiosity in general, we would be better off, right?
Yes, we've have such a dumbed down culture, so I love the idea of always remaining curious and always like keeps you present,
Mm,
engaged, and you remember things.
mm.
That's good for your brain too. So
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, people appreciate it. So get more curious. We all have a story and it's beautiful.
Mm. All right, Lauren, thank you so much for joining me. It was a real pleasure to chat with you today.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me again.